Hello, 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 everyone. Hope you had a very good break, and we are back after the break. What are we doing? We are building a mobile application using React Native and Expo. And I'm going to wait for folks to join. Meanwhile, let me just quickly do a few setup, just some background music. Yeah, I think this is good, right? Okay, so we are back after the break, and I hope we'll have a good one this time. Before going on break, we actually completed our first application, and now we are going to start with our second application. We actually had have started it in a way. We created an application. We added Expo router, however you pronounce it, uh, depending on your preference, of course. So we added router. I'm going to call it router. We added Expo router. Then we also created this app folder. We had an app.tsx which was outside. We moved it inside, and I finally pushed it to my GitHub. Okay, and this time I think I am going to keep doing that. So for folks who are joining me for the first time right now, you can go to GitHub, clone the repository, and then you, me, all of us would be on the same page, literally. Okay, and for folks who are again joining me for first time, this is for you, just to give you a quick overview of what we have been doing. We are building a React Native application using Expo, and and mobile application using Expo, which is a framework on top of React Native. And currently, our app looks very basic. I am opening it in a simulator right now. So hopefully, when it opens, you can have a quick look at it. And there is some error, but I think it should be fine. Takes a bit of time sometimes. So, yeah, whenever it opens, let's say, you will see that all it says is reminders app, and that's it. That's all we have done till now. So that is why this is the perfect time to clone the repository, fork it, clone it, whatever you can do slash want to do. Please do it quickly, and then you will be at the same uh, place that I am in. Okay, at same point. Once you clone the repository, just do a simple npm install, and that should do the trick. That should work out. Make sure you have node.js installed. Of course, we are using version 20 of Node, so 20 or above should work fine. And yeah, that's it. So before we actually start coding, a very humble request to all of you to please register for the stream. The link is in the chat. Okay, please do register for the stream. Helps me, helps you, helps MLH. Okay, I think that is enough for anyone who joined like right now. Let me share the link to GitHub again. This is where I'm going to continue pushing the code. So yeah, please make sure that you have this link and you have cloned everything. Okay, I'm going to wait for like, let's say 10 more seconds, 10, 15 more seconds. That's how long it should take to do this. And the commands that you need to run once you have cloned it, if you haven't and you were not part of the previous one, you just have to npm install and then npx expo start dash c. And once you have done that, You can actually open the application on your phone by scanning this QR code. Make sure that you have Expo app installed, Expo Go app installed on your phone. It looks something like this. Okay, this is the icon. Kind of unforgettable. Okay, so let's start coding. Now, before we went on break, we were discussing about different types of routing slash routing, whatever you call it. One is tabbing, one was stack slash modals. So let's start directly by adding some routing, and then we'll go back and forth between what we are doing. Okay. So to add a route, you have to create a layout.tsx file. So anytime you create a folder, like this is what I understood, is that anytime you have a folder, example app folder, or if you have a nested folder, like inside app you have another folder called as reminders folder, everything needs to have at least and at most one layout.tsx, which defines what happens. Okay. Now, in our case, I am going to create a tab route. Okay. Yeah. So we can create a export default function tabs layout. Okay. Simple function. And inside this, I'm going to return very simply something called as tabs, which comes from Expo router. And inside the tabs, you have something called as tabs.screen. And here you can define a name. Now, in my case, the name would be this index.tsx, which basically says that this is the file that you want to refer to. So not even .tsx, you just have to do index. And that's it. Okay. So this is the first one. And I can copy this, paste it below. And let's say I create another one called as completed.tsx. Okay. What is completed.tsx? So this is like this index.tsx was my reminders app or my main page for reminders. So the first, when someone opens the app for the first time, that is the page that you're going to go. But below, I need two tabs. The first tab is reminders or all reminders kind of. And the second tab is going to be completed reminders. Okay. Hmm. Focus more on screen. Definitely. And here I can just do what are we doing here? We are doing export default function app. Hmm, I'm going to use const. Oh, actually function. Let's go with function. Export default function completed. Let's call it completed reminders. And all it is going to do currently is just going to have a view, and inside this view there would be a text, and that text would be completed reminders. And now view and text needs to be imported, so comes from React Native, and event text comes from React Native. We'll add some styles as well, so const styles equals to style sheet from React Native dot create, and we'll create a container style which would be like align items to center, flex one, and what else? Mm, justify content center. Thing F and then J. Yes. And we can give it a background color, right? The background color, we have a theme file that we had created. So themes dot colors dot white 100, so maximum white, pure white. And now we need to use this style, so we can go over to the view and go like style equals to styles, which is this object name, kind of a convention dot container, right? So now let's go over and let's see if I reload this page. Also, let's add another one. Instead of calling this index, we can call it completed. Okay. And let me reload this again just so that it's fresh. And there we go. There's an index and there's a completed, and I can actually switch between the two. There is this weird triangle slash filter icon that comes by default, and the name is index. Okay. So you may think that, oh, you can just call this completed and that could work. But now this is the problem. No route named completed exists. Okay. Why? Because, well, there's no file called as completed with all caps. So kind of proves my point that the file name is what you give. You need to give this name. And okay, we are able to switch between the two, which is nice. But I would prefer the name to be more like, all reminders or something like that. So let's do that. Let us add actually. mm, yeah, let's add the title. Okay, so we need to do options. Okay, and options, it is kind of object. It would take an object, and inside this you can define multiple things. One of the things that you could define is called as title, and let's say this will be reminders. Okay, now I can copy this options and paste it for this one, but for this would be more like completed reminders, or just reminders, completed reminders. Okay, so now if I reload the application, there we go. On the top, on the title, it now says reminder. Previously it said index, and even on the bottom it says reminders. And I switch over to completed reminders, and there we go. There it says completed reminders here, and it says completed reminders here. So that means that we have successfully added the tabbing between the two. Now what next? I would prefer a plus icon here. So someone can click on that, which should open a new page where you can add a new reminder. So the plus icon, of course, means adding something new, adding a new reminder. So let's do that. Let us add a new reminder. So for that, we first need to create a file. We'll call it add reminders.tsx, right? And I'm going to copy whatever we have in completed, paste it over to add reminders. Just make sure that wherever we say completed, I change it to add reminders. So add reminders is the function from add reminders. Like this is the default exported one, and Expo go quite unexpectedly. No problems. Add reminders. This is fine. And okay, I think that's all about completed. And we are going to tell it to open in iOS simulator again. Okay, so if you see, I haven't even added it to the tabs, but it still shows up in the tab. Okay, so this is a problem. First of all, I want it to show on the top right here rather than here at the bottom. So let's do that. Let's fix that. We can go into our layouts file, and on the reminders page, this is where, like on this reminders page, I want it on top right here. So we can do something like header right. Okay, so that is actually a part of options here, and we can do header right, and that is a function which can return some JSX. So now we need to add icons. So yeah, this is my problem. I should have shown you how to add icons first. So let's do that. So for icons, I think one of the best available places to get all the icons needed is this one. Uh, yeah, here we go. It has a list of all the Expo vector icons, and I will share the link in the chat. Now, Expo vector icons, as you must have guessed, it's part of Expo. Yeah, there we go. So there's this Expo vector icons library that we can use. And the link that I shared with you all is basically this link right here. Let me share the Expo vector icons documentation with you all as well. Okay. So what do you have to do? Like example, I want a reminders. So reminders, let's search for nothing as such. There's one. There's a list. So let's say I want to use this list from feather icon. So we first need to import the icon family and then render the component. Okay, so import feather from this and then use this feather icon that we imported as a component, and the name equals to list is basically going to render this icon. You can pass a size, you can pass a color. So let me copy this one. So I'm going to copy import feather from feather icons. Okay, so that's the first thing. I've imported this. Next, I want to change the icon right here. This inverted triangle that we have, or the filter icon that we have, I don't want that. We want to update it to more like a list. So we can add a tab icon, tab bar icon here, which takes in a function, which returns a function, and we can pass it, and which is a function and which returns a JSX component, and we can pass it feather icon, which is something that we can copy from here. Let me copy that and let me paste that right here, and there we go. Reminders with that icon. So for completed reminders, what can we do for completed? Hmm. Since we are using feather anyways, there's this check square that we could use. We don't have to import it again. We are on the same page. Just need to copy this one. And we can add that again to tab bar icon. Okay. Uh, okay. So let's go back, and yeah, there we go. So there's the reminders, and there's this, and they have two icons, which is nice. Now there is one thing, which is that the size, that is fine, but the color, okay, that is a problem, I feel. Why? Because we don't want it to be black. Look at the selected thing is actually blue, so we can and we should kind of add that. So you can extract the color from this and then pass that to the color right here. Similarly, we can do it for the second one and pass it to the color, has color right here. Interesting. My prettier is behaving weirdly. Anyways, so now if we go back, it is this blue. And what if I want to override the blue? We can do that as well, actually, if you want. So for this tabs, we can pass it something called as a screen options. Okay. And inside this, we can say that the tab bar active tint color is going to be like, we can pull this from theme. So theme dot colors dot, what do we have? We only have white 100 there. Like, let's say if I do white 100. Okay, so now it is white actually, which is a bad idea. We should add something like a primary color. So let me go back to our theme, and inside this, I'm going to add a blue 100 color, uh, blue 90 color. Yeah, so blue 100 is going to be a primary. I'm going to again plug into the website that we created and just copy this over. This is my 100. This should be lighter, even slightly more lighter. This should be like blue 90, and blue 100 is what I'm going to use in layout, and this would now be blue 100. Come on. Okay, I have no idea why it's being weird. Hmm. Okay, anyways, so there we go. So that's a blue 100 and blue something. I think blue is not exactly what is visible in understanding the difference. So for the time being, I'm also going to create a green 100 to add here, and use that in layout. Come on. Okay, now it's visible properly, right? That we are switching between these two things, and the color is actually not the original blue that it had, but more like a custom color that we have created. So yeah, enough about coloring. Let's go back. So we came to this problem because we wanted to add that whole tab right. So let's add header right, and that is going to be again a function that we are going to call. And inside this, now we can use feather icons again and add a plus there, right? So I'm going to do a feather, and the name is going to be if you do a control space bar, it should give you a list of all the icons that it has. So we can use a plus. Okay, there's also a plus circle if we wanted. So plus, and then we can define the size. Let's say we want it to be like 24, and the color we want, do we have something like darker in shade? So like, let's say blue but much more darker, something like this. So I'm using some weird color namings here. Like this would be like blue 900. And I'm going to use this blue 900 as the color, which would come from theme dot colors dot blue 900. Okay. And Let's say that's it for now. This was a bad idea. Okay, perfect. And there we go. So there's the plus icon, which is like sticking to the right edge. So we should also add some style. So let me create a style right here. We'll call, not will call, we know the standard. It's like const styles equals to style sheet from React Native dot create. And in this we'll add reminder style, and we'll say that on the right hand side, so margin right to be like 20. Okay, and let's use this add reminder in this one. So we'll say a style equals to styles dot add reminder. And what else? Let's go back actually first, and there we go. So this is done kind of, but on click it does not do anything. Okay, so what we want it to do on click we, or on press, that is available here. Okay, so on press we actually want to, let's first start with a console log, a simple console log. Okay, so if I click on this, clicked on add, clicked on add, clicked on add. Okay, so this is nice. So on press we need to call some function. So let's add that function here. We can call it handle, not even that actually, we don't have to create something. We could use whatever the router that we had downloaded, right? So we could do something like const router equals to use router, that comes from Expo router. Okay, and this function is basically helpful to tell you, like, navigate to this particular page. So there are some examples right here, like you could say navigate to, or go to, or push. I think that is one of the things that is available, which is on press we want to actually do router dot, there is a back, can dismiss, can go back. So back is go back in history, can dismiss, can go back, dismissal, push is what we want to use. So push to add reminder. Okay, and let me just reload the whole page, reload the whole window. Probably then it should understand that there is a prettier config that is there. Okay, no errors yet. Okay, finally that's gone. Okay, so now if I go back and click, huh, add reminder is a route not found. Probably need to do a slash add reminder, and it's still an unmatched route. Why is that? Oh, it's spelling mistake. Add reminders. So actually, I'm going to rename this to add reminder, because you can add one reminder at a time, right? So add reminder, add reminder. And now if I go to my home page, refresh, and plus, yes, that there it goes to add reminder. Okay, and this is nice and all, but remember what I ideally wanted? I ideally wanted a stack of something. Secondly, at least for the time being, I am not sure how do you remove this from here. Okay, so if someone finds a way, let me know, but I'm not sure. So the way I did it, okay, the way I thought about it, and also because I wanted a stack over this, was to kind of change the placement of routes. Okay, so for the time being, let us first commit what we have. So what have we done? We have created a layout, and this is not going to go to waste. We are going to copy paste this just in a different manner. But what we have done is added this router.push to go to a certain page. We have added the icons, we have added the title, and we created like this index.tsx, which was, I think, already there. Let's say we created this completed.tsx, which is one of the route pages that we have, and a add reminder.tsx, which is again one of the route pages that we have. So let's commit it at this point. Added what? Completed and added layout completed, add reminder pages or routes, more like. And let me just push this so that everyone has it. Yep, there we go. So anyone who's joining now and you want to follow through, there is the link to the GitHub where we just post everything. Okay, so let me start this back. And while that is starting, so the way I created it, or the way I think ideally it would be nicer, is when you click on this plus icon, it should open a stack or kind of a full screen model. Okay, so let's do that. For that, we just have to move a few things, not just, we have to move a few things around. So number one, we will create a bracket tabs, okay, folder. Now what does this mean? Like what does this bracket mean? It basically means that this will have like multiple routes inside it, and it could be, yeah, it's like a collection. Okay, think of it as a collection. So inside this collection, this underscore layout.tsx, we are going to move that to tabs. Okay, and also import the theme thing. Okay, so I'll also write the path name for future reference. So app slash, now we are inside tabs slash underscore layout.tsx. Okay, so this is where we have reached. And I think that should be it. You don't even need the slash, I guess. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that is underscore layout right there. Now every page or your home page, yeah, the home page that we have, this index.tsx, will also move inside the tabs because that has a tab layout, right? That is also a tabbed layout, so even index.tsx will move there. Completed is also going to be a tab, so even that moves inside. So let me add comments even on the top of this. And what this is now, inside app slash tabs slash index.tsx. But I'm going to rename this, instead of calling this app, because normally people search for app, I will call this as reminders screen. Okay, perfect. So now we have three things inside the tabs folder, which is like a collection of things. One is the index.tsx, which is a reminders. We have a completed reminders, right? We have an index.tsx, we have completed reminders, and we have the layout.tsx. That's it. Now, I told you that every folder that you create needs to have a layout. Tabs has a layout, but now app does not have one. And actually, this is where we will create our layout.tsx, where we will define that this will be a stack router. So let me add that as a comment here. So app slash underscore layout.tsx. And the add reminder remains outside because it is going to be part of a stack. Okay. So what we will do is export default function, and we'll call this, let's say, a root layout. You can call it layout as well, that's fine. But for the time being, I'm going to call it like root layout. And now this will return. You remember what previous one returned? Let me open it side by side. The previous one returned tabs. So this, if I keep saying it's a stack, it should return a stack. And inside this, it kind of looks very similar. You do a stack dot screen there. You did a tab dot screen. And what is the name of this? Now this is very interesting. Let's say, which route is it going to show? It should show you first all the tabs, right? So we are going to say your parenthesis and tabs. Then we need to have another screen, stack.screen, and self closing again. What is this going to show? This should show add reminder, right? So let's go and see how it looks like. Let me reload this project. So there's, now we have two things at the bottom. There's a reminders and there's a completed reminders. There's this tabs. There's below that is the reminders. So this is coming from the tab and this is coming from the stack. I click on plus, it slides in from the right hand side very nicely. And there's also a back button that we get for free, right? Which says that if you want to go back, so plus you come to a stack, it, you see the sliding effect. It basically means that it's coming on top of this previously rendered screen. Okay. And add reminders. Now a few things that we want to change, definitely one is, I don't like, and even you won't like, two headers, right? So we need to disable this. And to do that, we could do something like options, which we did before. And the header shown is going to be false. There's also other options like header shadow visible. Okay. Let's say you put it to true. And yeah. So plus you go to add reminder, you have a back button. So now at least that tabs thing is gone, which means we don't have two headers, we have a single header, which is nice. This add reminder, this name, we need to change that. How did we do that previously? Inside the options, we had a title. So let's do that again here. Inside the options, we have a title. We'll call it add reminder. Okay. So there we go. Now this back button, it's still a problem. It says this back and then this tabs. That is weird, right? And what else? Uh, we can change the presentation mode or add new reminder. Let's call this. You have multiple presentation mode. You have a card, you have a contained modal, you have a full screen modal, you have a transparent modal. So let's say if I make it a card, okay, just to show you, I click on plus. Looks same. uh Contained modal. Yeah, there we go. So it comes from the top, but there's no back button anymore. So that's a problem. And there's also a modal. Okay. So plus and This one actually allows you to kill it, as in like take it down. So we have multiple options. You can go with a contained model, but then you have to manually implement your back button. Okay. And you can do that. I'm pretty sure them is easy. But for the time being, I am going to go with modal. So on click, there we go. And I'm not sure how it looks on Android. So anyone using an Android phone, do let me know if it comes as a modal from the bottom or if it comes as a modal from the side. But yeah, that is some stack and tabs being used together. And it gives you more of a native feeling, right? Switching between the pages, but also adding some more things. So, and thanks to our like layout functionality right now, if you want to add more tabs below, you can add it right here in the tabs layout. And if you want to add more functionality as a button somewhere and it needs to be a stack, then you can add it here. So, example, what I mean is the back button, let's say you want to add a back button. So, to add reminder, is there a header left? Yes, I think yes, there is. So, in here, you can kind of, and I'll give it a try. I'm not sure. Uh, feather. We need to get it from Expo vector icons. So I'm going to copy paste that feather, and then we have to give it a name. And is there a back or skip back? Okay, let's say, and there we go. There's the back button, and then you can add some functionality that on click of this, what needs to happen. You want to route back, right? So you can say that on press, it needs to push back or go back. So we can do that. Wait, where did it go? Yeah, here. On press router. Where is router? Router is coming from like const router equals to use router from Expo. And we can just say router dot back, was it? So plus and on press, go back. So there we go. We have simply added a back button as well. Isn't this cool? Any questions, anyone, before we move ahead? Also, let me, if I've reached here, I should probably add a back button properly. Is there no back button in Feather? I think I'll have to use a arrow left, most probably. Or a chevron left should also be fine. Chevrons left also? Okay. And to keep it consistent, let's also add the size and the color, which was this one. So color and size. Copy that over to this one. And theme would come from here. So plus, add reminder, back. Okay, there we go. So we have successfully added a back button to our stack as well. So now, if you don't want a modal, you can have a contained modal, which on click would open something from below, but you can go back if you want. Okay. For the time being, I'm still going to stick with modal. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Okay. There is a question. What am I creating? I am creating a reminders app using React Native and Expo. And so far, what we have done is created a skeleton, created tab navigation, created a stack navigation, and some back buttons. Okay, so I think this is the perfect time to push everything that we have. So you had a previous one which was more of tabs as the root layout, and there's this new one which is like stacks as your root layout. Let me just push this. So get status, let's say first. Yeah, it looks about right. Git add, git commit. What did we do? We added stacks layout, moved tabs. I think this should be fine enough. And git push. Wrong one, wrong one. Yep, there we go. So anyone who isn't following along and wants to follow along, you can get the latest code from here. Clone it, run npm install, and then do npx expo start dash c to start fresh. Okay, one last time. Any questions, anyone, before we move ahead? Okay, I'm going to take the silence as golden and let's move ahead. So we have added the routes, we have added the layout. What next? Well, we should add some screens, we should add some components, we should add something which makes this look much better than it does right now, right? So let's start with a card. And for me, my what do you call my inspiration was Apple reminders. So you see these cards that they have. Open image in new tab. Okay, these cards, I wanted to create something similar. Okay, so this is why, like, whatever I create right now would look very similar to these cards. So this is the card that I want to create. And the vision that I have in mind, or I had in mind when I was, practicing for this session, was to have like four cards like this. uh, the first one will be called as today. Then you have a low priority, medium priority, high priority. So four cards. The cards will have the image, of course. It will have the number of reminders. So like today will have, let's say if you have 5 reminders for today, scheduled today, then it should show 5 here, and it will show this title. So icon, number of reminders, title. At least these are the three basic things that we need. Once we start building, we'll add more stuff as required. But yeah, so let's start. We'll start with reminders card. And now the way I am going to add it is the components will I will still keep it outside. Okay, so we have app, assets, and then components. Inside the components, I'm going to create a reminder card or tsx. Okay, and let's create this function. So const reminder card, and that is going to be a component, and inside this we will say return a view. This is like a div, if you remember. And inside this we'll add a text, which will basically say reminder card. And the text also comes from React Native, and we can always do export default reminder card. Now if you notice, like I have like two different ways of writing something. I was previously using our normal slash vanilla function, and now I'm using our arrow function. Depends on your taste slash preferences, like whatever suits. Okay. Reason why I'm going with arrow function, because I'm like, okay, this is a component. So, just out of habit. And this was like a pure thing slash something visible on screen as a page. So yeah, since this is more like a page, that is why I'm using like vanilla function naming here. But this is more like a component. There will be like multiple of these on a single page. So that is why I'm going with arrow function. But you can go with whatever you like. There's nothing stopping you with this, right? So reminder card, as I said, that it needs to have a title. So I'm pretty sure we'll add a title. We can call it like card title. Okay, card title, which since already it comes destructured, we can add it right here. Okay, so I'm thinking. Excuse me. Yep, sorry. Uh Reminder card, okay, card title, that is fine. And should we map over it right now, or should we wait, is what I'm like confused about. I think we can map over it right now. Now you remember the whole mapping aspect, like always use flat list or always use scroll, or like if you can't use flat list, use scroll. But in my case, I'm going to go against whatever I said, and I am going to do something very weird, which is I'm going to just map over it. And why is that? Uh, Simply, like from if you think about it from the perspective of uh, usage, I told you like we'll only have four cards. These four cards are going to always be on top of the screen right here. So, do we really need scrolling? I don't think so, right? So that is why I'm going to directly map over it. And before we map over it, let me create a quick data folder right outside here, a constants folder, let's say. Okay, which will have a data.ts file. And from here we can do export const reminders data equals array of objects, which will for now only have one thing, which is that the title would be today, and we need few more like this. There will be a today, there will be something else, then there will be something else, then there will be something else. Oh, wait, why is it pasting there? There's today, there's low priority, medium priority, high priority. So I'll call it medium and I'll call this one high. There's today low priority, medium priority, and high priority. So this is a basic reminders data, and I'm going to take this, a reminders card data, let's call it. I'm going to take this, I'm going to come over here, and let's do a very simple map over it. And this will be like reminders card data, which will be imported from constants, and then a dot map over it. And once you map over it, we can say that individual card data, like take out each card data, and now just return our reminders reminder card. Okay, where the key for the time being, we can say it's card data dot, there's only one property inside, that is title, and just spread over card data, because we know the structure will be the same. And should not have called this title, should have called this card title. If you want to spread over something, I think that's the best way to name the property in your data, same as what you have here. Okay, and I know it has some like any type for now, which we will fix. We need to create a type, so let's do that. What can we call it? We can call it reminder card props. Let's say export type reminder card props equals to, for now it will have a card title, which is going to be a string. And now we take this one and we go here and we say functional component, which comes from React, and this has the props of reminder card props. Perfect. So how does this look like? Well, this is close, so let me restart it. And then press reload to reload this. And there we go. Looks very ugly. But reminders app, today low priority, medium priority, high priority. And everything is center aligned, which is bad, I feel, right now, because not everything would be slash should be center aligned in this case. So our container is where the magic happens. Uh, and I can just move these two things. Yeah, there we go. It goes on the top. Okay. Now, what next? Well, we need to add a few more things to our card. But before that, let me just quickly add one style here. And that would be styles dot headline text. And let's create this one right here, where we will say that there will be a font size of 24 points. Font weight would be, like, these are so many options. We'll go with bold. And then there will be a margin all around, okay, of 10. Okay, let's do with margin all around as 10. There we go. Reminders app. Uh, you could call this, instead of reminders app, all reminders. Perfect. Much better. So all reminders. And now what next? Should create a card container. Okay, which will wrap all these cards. So it should go right here. So style equals to styles dot card container, and this card container will go CA card. So I think it goes here. and we will say that it well, everything is flex in general in mobile app development. So flex direction will be row. Then we'll say flex wrap to be like wrap it. uh, Justify content like space between them, and then we can add a padding on all sides of like 10 points. Okay, so padding on all sides for now as 10 points. uh, Perfect. I think we are reaching there. It shows four things, but that's also because there's nothing much there, right? And okay, now we can go back to our cards, and let me refresh this. We can now go back to our card and reminder card and add a few more things there. Okay, so what do we want? We want the number of reminders, and like we have card title. Let's add a number of reminders, reminders, which will again be a string. Okay, I know it's supposed to be a number, but that's okay. Uh, and we'll take this one, and right on the top we will say number of reminders, which comes in here as well, which gets passed to this one. And we'll wrap both of this text into another view where we will provide it some style, and the style would be like styles dot text container. And I noticed that we haven't created styles, so like let's say const styles equals to style sheet from React Native dot create, and inside this we'll take this text container. And what do we want to add? A few more, few things, yeah. Like let's say align content, no, align items, I think would be like flex start, and then the flex direction would be column. We'll divide this into two columns, and we go back to our data, and now we'll add some a new parameter here, a new, yeah, which would be like number of reminders. Hmm, can make it number actually, shouldn't matter. It would be like for this one, let's say 2, sub something 2, something 2, something 2. Let's say 4, 0, and there we go. So it says 2 and then today. So now, okay, they are in two things, like they're divided. CSS is still hard, irrespective of whether you're developing for web or you are developing for mobile. Uh, the next one would be icon, right? We are missing the icon. So I can add the icon right here. Other icons again. Uh, just importing it quickly. And then the icon, well, the name of the icon will come as a prop. Okay, so let's add that icon, and this could be a string. and then icon comes here as well, and it gets passed right here. Then what else? We can keep the size of the icon as like 24, and the color of all the icons as white. Okay, so string is not assignable to all of this. And what is all of this? This is coming from feather icons. So actually what we could do is say that the icon will be a react dot component props, and it would be always be a type of feather icon which is coming from here, but from that just the name property. Perfect. So now this will only be one of these 266 plus something 270, 275, or whatever numbers of a number of icons that feather has. Okay, only those many can be provided to this. So we kind of limit our scope with using this, but that's okay. And now we need to go to data again, and we need to add the icons again. Not again, for the first time actually. Uh, okay, let's start with this. So what I can, like, let me copy paste this quickly first. Icon, 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 and icon. And we have a calendar. Yep, there is a calendar. It's called calendar. So I will write calendar icon. Then what else do we have? Alert. We have a alert circle, alert triangle, and alert octagon. And interestingly, this could be our low priority, medium priority, high priority. So alert circle, alert triangle, alert octagon. Interesting. I think that should be fine. Let me divide this properly. Probably that should be helpful. What do we have? We have card title, which is equal to card data dot card title. Then we have an icon, which would be equal to card data dot icon. And we will have a number of reminders, which will be equal to card data dot number of reminders. And this says that this is not assignable because of the issue. So as any for the time being. Okay. And the color of all the icons is white for now. So we also need, like, if I make it black, I think that should be visible then. Yeah, there we go. So we had the icons. It was just not visible because I put set them as white, but they will be white once we set the background, right? So we need this circular background, and inside that, all the icons will be white always. So to make that circular background, we can wrap this into a view. Feather icon goes inside this. And what we can say here is, now this is going to be interesting and something new again. So we are saying that, so we want to pass it like two different styles. So you can always pass, like not always, in React Native, in this one you can pass a array of styles. So we can say that styles dot, there can be a icon container style, and we can say that if there is, like, we can set a background color which would be dependent on a property. Okay, so if someone actually sends over a icon background color, which would be a string, I would say, then based on this icon background color, passed down here, you'll say that set the background color. So basically behind this today, it should be blue. Behind low priority, it should be yellow. Behind medium, it should, no, low would be green, medium would be yellow, and high priority should be red. So we can ask a user, or wherever we are passing the data from, we can tell it to kind of pass down a icon background color which will be set to this background color. And actually, let me try one last thing, because it does not like this any reminder card. It had reminder card props. So can I try satisfies reminder card props array, which comes from reminder card props? And okay, perfect. I think that's much better. And icon background color is missing. Yes, I'll add that. Don't worry. Yeah. Instead of using any, I have used something called as satisfies this type. Okay. This is something that I recently came across in TypeScript, where you can say that, yeah, whatever this is, it actually satisfies the type that has been mentioned here. So you can just assume that, yes, like this data is perfectly what I want. And this icon container, let's add some styling for that. Okay, so for icon container, we can, we'll have to add a bunch of style actually. We'll say align items to the center. We'll add some border radius of, let's say, let's start with like 20. The height would be like 40. Justify content center, then margin right be like 10, and the width to be like 40 again. And for the icon background color, which is defined in here, we can actually create some colors, right? So we can go into our theme, which was right here, and we can create a few colors. Let's say, actually, let's use this blue 100. Oh, sorry, blue 100. So for we go over to data and we'll say theme dot colors dot blue 100. For low priority, we want a green. So I'll go with like theme dot colors dot green 100. For medium priority, we want a yellow. So I'm going to go over and create a yellow, which is more towards orange. So theme dot colors dot yellow 100, and high priority needs to be red, as much red as possible, but not this one. I think we need to go a bit darker shades. I think yeah, this looks fine to me. Go back to theme, and we can create a red 100. Yep. And where did we go? Perfect. And then we need an icon background color, which will come from card data dot icon background color. Okay. So if we go back, this is what it looks like. We just need to make sure that this is more white. Okay. Anything else that I need to remember? No, I think this looks good, right? So this is perfectly center aligned. For some reason this isn't, and for some reason this also looks weird. I am not sure. Hmm. Let's keep this 40, and the size of the icon, let's keep that 20. Yep. Okay, much better, I feel. Okay, any questions before we go ahead? Anyone, anything? We have one last thing to do, which is add a background to this, right? Okay, let's move ahead. Seems like no questions. This view, yes, let's give it some style. So for this one, we can say styles dot card container. You have icon container, text container. We can create a card container. And now for this card container, what we want is ensure that align items to the center. Background color. Okay, so background color, we want this to be slightly darker than this, like white, but more on gray side. I think this should be fine. So like, let's say this is white 90. And let's use that right here. We'll call it as theme dot colors dot white 90. Give the card some border radius, let's say 8. Flex direction of a row, so that's just in a single row. Margin of 5 on all sides. Padding of 10 on all sides, so it squishes the content inside. And we'll give it a width, okay, a fixed width of, let's say, 45%. And there we go. So there's our cards. And it is like things are squished inside as we want it. And at the same time, uh, they are like two different lines as well. And I think this looks good, right? So all reminders, 4 cards. This two and this today, I think we can add some styling to that as well. So what? Yeah, let's do that quickly. I'm going to copy this one. This goes here. This goes here. This would be called like number, and this would be called as title. And title can go right here, where we'll give it a color. What colors do we have? Don't have a black, it seems. Yep, I think this should be good enough. Well, black 900 should be pure black, right? So we can give this a 000 000, and then we can have a black 100, which should be like this one. So similarly, white, okay, let's say this is 100 and this is more like 90. So black 90 is what we can take it. So we'll go like theme dot colors dot black 90. And for font size, we can set that to like 14. And similarly, we need a number. So the number from this one, it's more like bigger and bold. So in our case, we can do the same. We can say like font size is bigger, which is like 18, and font weight is actually bold. Okay, there we go. And you could do a bunch of things. I think if you do a like text align to right. Oh no, I'll have to flex it, right? Hmm. Yeah, I don't think this would work on this one. I think you'll have to add it on top of something, do a flex direction and change that. But for the time being, I think this is fine enough. So there we go. We have created our cards. Any questions so far before I push this? Okay, I think everyone's happy and no questions from anyone, which is nice. Okay, moving on. Not moving on. Let me push this quickly. So we have like low priority today, low priority, medium priority, and high priority, which is nice. Now let me just push this one. Okay, what next? So once you have these cards, what do we want to do? Well, on click off these cards, it should show me a list of things, right? So actually, like, we have two things that we can do right now. And let me see the time. We have like half an hour left before the next session. The next session, yeah, we have half an hour left before the next session. So now I have two things. Either I can add a list component here, or we can do stuff with like add clicking on this plus and rendering stuff, which is like the keyboard inputs. So I think, okay, I'm going to go with clicking on this plus and then opening the new modal, which we have already done, and then showing uh, input box where user can type, because at the end of the day user interaction matters the most, right? So let me restart this. Okay, let's focus on some user interactions. Now in our case, the user interaction would be in the reminders, in the add reminders, right? So, or add reminder, why do I keep saying add reminders, add reminder. uh, that this is where the user interaction with will majorly happen. So let's do that. Let's actually quickly make some changes here. So new reminder. Now in this, to add, so we were using text to show text. Okay, a normal, you can think of a text as a p tag or h1, h2, h3 tag from HTML or even React JSX. And similarly, if you want a input, you can use something like a text input and you can style it. But for the time being, let's say this is going to be a title, and that's it. Okay. So all we are doing here is rendering a title box. So if I click here and there is this title, and if I try to press there, it gives me this cursor and I can type. And if you're doing it on phone, your keyboard will automatically open. But if since I'm doing it on the virtual one, I think I have to click on this. Yes. So then I can type the space title and then click return to save that. Okay. But it does not look like a input box actually. And it looks like very weird. So let's fix that very quickly. So in our case, what we want to do is, hmm, yeah, we want to style this, right? Style the input box. So let's do that. We should style the input box. So coming back to our text input, we can go like style equals to styles dot input box style. I think that's input. I think input. Okay. Let's create this input right here. Well, what will we have in the input? We should need a background color, which could come from our theme file. Let me keep this open on the right hand side, minimize it. So theme dot colors dot white 90. So it's white but not pure white. We can add a border color to this. So border color could be theme dot colors dot black, not blue, black. Oh wait, I called this black 90. Wait, so this will cause a problem even somewhere else. Components. Oops. Okay. Anyways, that should be fixed in the next push. Okay. So border color, and can add a border radius of like 20, let's say. Add some padding of like, let's say 20, and full width of like 100%, which is a string. So now if we go back, yeah, much better. The container, even though, can have some more like padding around it. So we can go like padding of like 20 so that it's squished inside. Yeah. And this border radius of 20 looks very bad. 10. And there we go. So there's our input box. So if I open it, click on this, should have brought up my keyboard. I think that's hidden again. Yeah, toggle. And I can then type something there and hit return. And there we go. Auto typing and everything is already there. So that's simply what you can do. Uh, on if you are actually looking at your app on phone, or like Android phone, or your iPhone or something, you'll see that your keyboard actually toggles up automatically. So that is nice. So yeah, I forgot to give it a border width. No wonder it was not visible. Okay, so there we go. So this is done. What next? We need to add a date picker, a time picker, and what else? We need a date picker, we need a time picker, we need priority buttons, because well, we have like this whole low priority, medium priority, and high priority things, right? So we need a priority picker, which could be a radio button. Then we need a save button, and we need a close button. So let's start with the easiest, which would be like the save button and the close button. So if you want a button which you can click, you should always go with touchable opacity. Not always. There's a better one which is pressable. Okay. So on press, we want to call some function, but we haven't created it. So actually, let's create it. Handle save, and we'll add some style to it as well. So style would be like styles dot save button, and inside this we'll have text, which will have a style equals to styles dot button text, and it would be save. Let me minimize this one. And similarly, we can copy this and handle close, and this would be close button. This would be called close. Okay, let's do one thing at a time. So save button should come somewhere here, which would have like text transform uppercase. So everything would be uppercase, which is nice. We can say align items to be like center. The background color. So background color, since this is like more of a good thing, so this would be something like theme dot colors dot, let's say blue 100 for now. uh, Give it a border radius of like 4. uh, if we want padding on the left and right, we can go for padding horizontal, which is like 20, let's say. And if you want padding top and bottom, we can go for padding vertical, which in this case, let's say 10. And we can decide or fix the width of this to be like 100% of whichever parent it is in. Now we need a button text as well. So that should come right here, button text. We'll say that color needs to be, oh, text transform needs to go here. Uh, theme dot colors dot white 100. That should do the trick. Close button that needs to be red. That should come here somewhere. And we can copy everything from this one, from save button over to close button, except for this to be like red 100. And now the handle save and handle close. So let's create two functions very quickly. Handle save, what do we want to do on handle save? So we can do something like const handle save equals to something, and we can just do a console dot log saved. Okay, for the time being, excuse me. And once you have clicked on save, then we want to close this module. So let's create this router. So const router equals to use router. And then we can go like router dot back. And similarly, for handle close, we can say closed, and even that will actually take you back. Okay, that's the whole point of closing, that you go back. So click on plus, and this looks bad, we'll fix that later. Save and saved and closed, plus and close and closed. Okay, so there's the button, definitely. And wait, how much time do I have left? Hmm, okay, 15 minutes approx. Okay, so let's add a few more things then, like since we have time left, which is what, well, we need to capture whatever the user is typing, right? So we can, let's do that for the time being. Let's do that. I think only that's the thing that will get completed right now. So we'll use the very simple use state from React, set it to an empty initial state, and to our text input, we'll say the value is actually equal to the title. And what else? Whenever someone changes something or starts typing, or we'll say on change of text, it should call the set title. Okay. And okay, I think this makes much more sense. Okay. And what else? What else? Save button. It has padding, and this. We can add a margin vertical to be like 10. And similarly, even for the close button, We can add a margin vertical of 10. Okay, perfect. So click on this, add your reminder here, and we'll say my reminder return and click on save. Okay, so no errors are yet, but well, we are not console logging anything, so we can do that. We will say that on save we actually want to console log whatever they have typed. Okay, so we'll say just put in the title for now, so plus, and then I'll type it from my keyboard, reminder for GHW session, and hit save, and there we go. It console logs that title. We'll add the date, time, priority as well. I don't know if we'll have time to add all of that today, but yeah, we'll add that. One more thing that we could do is add a very rough uh, condition handling, checking. Okay, a quick check. I will say that if there is no title, then in that case, do a console dot error of please add reminder title. Okay, a very quick check, and else we can say that you can go back, you can console log that and go back. Yeah, there we go. If I now click on save, it does not close, it gives this error, please add reminder title. I click on close, that's fine. You'll have to manually remove that error for now, and we'll say GHW session soon. Click on save, and there we go. GHW session soon, which has been added. What's the next, which would be easiest and quickest? I think setting the priority. So I'll add a type, export type priority. You can only have like three types. You will have a low, you'll have a medium, and you'll have a high priority, right? We'll copy this over, copy and paste this. Instead of title, it would be called as priority and set priority. Okay. Now this use state will say that it is actually of the type priority, and the initial priority is going to be low. Okay. Once you have the priority, we will console log the priority as well. And for the priority, what are we going to use? So in my mind, I think what would be nice to have is a radio button. Okay. So right above our save and close button, and after the text, we can create a new view. Inside this view, we can add a text. It says priority. Okay. And now inside this, we can uh, do something very, very interesting slash tricky. We will say that we have three types of priority. So low, medium, and high. And this is an array. So you can map over an array. So array, map over that array. And for each level, so like level, we will return a component. And that component, since it needs to be clickable, we'll say touchable opacity. You can pass it a key, which will be unique. So key is level, and close that. Inside this, we'll have a text, and the text, it should be actually whatever is the level dot character at the 0th position, which is in this case L, okay, to uppercase. Okay, so you now have a character L with a low, in from which you have taken the L first and it is now uppercase, but you also want to add the O and W to it, right? So then in that case, you will do level dot slice everything after the first position. So now if we go there, click on the plus, you have a priority and everything is now uppercase. Needs a bit of style, not a bit, a bunch of styling actually. So let's do that. Let's add some styling to this. Uh, Start with the view. We will add a style of styles dot radio group, let's say, because they're multiple. This text, it will have a style of styles dot radio label. Touchable opacity, we can actually set the style programmatically, because you remember a style could be actually an array. Now inside this array we will say styles dot radio option. It's the default or like the basic style that it needs to have, but based on the level. So if level equals to, so 3 equals to triple equals, if level equals low, then in that case styles dot green button. Okay, else if level triple equals to medium, I can close this, medium, then in that case you need to use styles dot yellow button. Else if it's neither low nor medium, then it's definitely high, and if it's high then you go for styles dot red button. Okay, and we can also add some more stuff, which is like, if on priority, if priority equals to the level and styles dot selected priority button. So like whatever is selected, you can give it some additional styles. Okay, so whatever button you're selecting, add this style to it. And where else, this one can have style equals to styles dot radio text as well. Okay, I think that is a huge bunch of styles. Also on press, what do we need to do on press? We also need to do that. So on press, what we will say is, we had this whole set priority function, right? Okay, so all we are left with is styling, and we are left with 15 minutes. Let's see whatever comes first. So radio group, we'll start with radio group. And for GHIRS, yeah, radio group. What else did we have? We have radio label. No, it will come here. What else did we have? We have radio option. And then we have radio text. Okay, let's start from radio group. Radio group should be align items to center. flex direction to be row. We'll add some margin bottom to be like 20 and the width to be like 100%. Okay, should take everything. Then radio label. In this case, we'll say for the color, it would be like theme dot colors dot black 90 for now. Font size to be like 16 and margin right to be like 10, let's say. Let's see how it looks like. Click on the plus. Okay, much better. Priority is on the left and all this is on the right hand side. Radio group is done, radio label is done. Now radio option. Radio option will have like align items. You want it to be centered. Then some border radius of 10. Why? Because this will be like a button. I'm calling it radio, but it's more like a button. Yeah. Flex direction to be like a row in this case again. Margin horizontal to be 10. Padding horizontal to be like 12 and padding vertical to be like 6. And for radio text we can have color as theme dot colors dot white 90 should do the trick, and font size of 16, white 100. Yep, not visible because, well, we still have the buttons left. Actually, I'll call it button green so that I can keep them together. Button yellow and button red. And this will be called as button selected priority. Okay. So button green, button green, yellow, red. Yes, I know you expected this to be, and button selected priority. Perfect. So these are last four things. And how much time do we have left again? Okay, 9 minutes only. I don't think we'll be able to finish it, but let's give it a try. Background color of theme dot colors dot green 100, and similarly I'm going to actually copy this. And there's a green 100, there's a yellow 100, pretty sure, and there's oh, oops, there should be red 100 and there should be yellow 100. Okay, much better. Okay. And what else? The selected priority. We can say that it needs to have a border color of theme dot colors dot black 90 and a border width of 4. So now in this case, when you click on something, it shows us that bad coloring, but we'll fix this. I'll fix this and push it after the session. But for now, once you have that selected, now we can actually add what's the next session? The next session is going to be today in Global Hack Week, day 3. Okay, and this is going to be a very high priority thing for you all to attend. You click on save, and that's it. That's all the magic that we have done. Okay, so let me come back on screen. So we have successfully added something. uh, doesn't look that good, unfortunately, for now, but we'll fix it, or I'll fix it and then push it. You can add a new reminder, select a priority, save it, close it. Currently, it only adds it to console log, but tomorrow we'll try and save it in local store. Not tomorrow, sorry. My next session would be on Tuesday, I think. Uh, Last session, like part 4, where we'll try to save it to local storage and show it here. Okay, that's at least that's the bare minimum that I want to finish. Okay, cool. Any questions, anyone, before we end this session? Okay, I take the silence as golden, and assuming that everyone is happy with what we are doing, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. The next session would be with Alina to learn what is happening today. Technically, this is the third day starting today in Global Hack Week, day 3. Okay, definitely join that to know what's coming up next. I think there's a data structures and algorithms coming up next with Steven, which is like part 3 of it. I, I think part 1 was amazing. I didn't join the part 2. Oh, I joined part 2 and part 1. Oh, some one of those. Okay. But yeah, amazing things going on. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I will see you again in the 4th session whenever it is based on your time zone. Okay. Cheers. See ya. Bye bye.